and welcome to another Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. And today's a special one because I'm unboxing and taking a quick look at Reality Shift, the deluxe version. This is from Apollo Games, or also known as, or in connection with, Academy Games. And I want to extend a special thanks for receiving this game. I was sitting on my couch watching an old black and white movie on Sunday, waiting to for my rest of my family to get home so we can go to a movie, because it was, I think, National Movie Day or something like that, so $4 movies. Anyway, and I got a call on the phone, and it was Uwe Eickert of Academy Games, and wanted to know, did I ever get my version of Reality Shift? I had entered into a contest or won a copy of this off a Gimpy Gamer contest around Christmas time. And so my first thanks is to Gimpy Gamer for running the contest and being so generous to offer this up through Academy Games. But Uwe called me up and was saying, hey, did I get this? I said no, so we started talking, and then when he found out I had a channel, we started talking even more, and so I might have some other things that I might be sharing with you from Academy Games. But today, we're going to talk about Reality Shift, and if this looks a little different, a little exotic, not your average fare from Academy Games, because it is not. This is a sci-fi game. This is a racing game, and I don't want to violate any copyrights or intellectual property rights, but think of the word Tron. I'll just leave that there. That kind of dates me. I saw that in the theater as a youngster. Anyway, this is a racing game where you're going to be racing across these cubes here, and if you can see, there's different colors, there's different paths. And these cubes stack and can be rolled on top of each other or spun around or flipped over. And that's usually done with these cards here. And they'll crush your bike or speeder or your racing vehicle and your light bike. I think it's called the light bike. And you got to go back to the beginning. And the beginnings are these like little green nodes here, and then the end of the track is a red node. These are not meant to be very long games. As it says right here, it says 20 minutes. So, each game should only take, they might be shorter than that, but if they're too much longer than that, you might want to start over. But these are not meant to be long games. But it's a quick race where you're going to be rolling dice to get movement points, playing cards to manipulate the cubes, and there's a little bit of take that in this, because you could mess up someone else's plans by rolling a cube on top of them and making them go back to the beginning. Also, when you move cubes around, it changes the paths, and so it might change what people's plans are as well. Now, this is the deluxe version, and I think in the deluxe version, it adds a wide hole, a vortex, and portal cube. So I think you get 3 additional cubes in this one. You get a 5th player light bike, and you get a track board. And I think the board is a big thing. You don't need the board to play the game, but I think the board, especially for people that are playing this for the first time, I think is a really nice addition, because it's a place where you can put the cubes out. And I think it's double-sided, where the flip side actually has a track on it, so you can go off a cube, go onto the track, and then go back onto cubes. I know none of this is probably making sense to you, because I'm talking about a 3-dimensional game here, and you're like, what are you talking about? But if you look at the back here, in Reality Shift, race across all sides of the large magnetic cubes while hacking into them to change the track. So again, these are magnetic. The hacking is these cards to change the cubes, and then you're rolling a dice to get your movement points. Plus, these cards act as movement points as well. Move your light bike across any sides of the cubes to find the best path to the finish. Shift reality by hacking the track to slide, rotate, flip, and tilt the cubes. Block your opponent's paths, make your paths to the finish shorter, or crush your opponents with a cube. Race, hack, win. So there you have it. Let's see what's inside this box. So I want to thank, first off, thank Gimpy Gamer of the Gimpy Gamer channel. I want to thank Uwe Eickert. I want to thank Apollo Games. I want to thank Academy Games. Boy, I want to thank the Academy Awards. I'm just thanking everybody today. I'm just thankful guy today. So here is the box. Let's pull out a little bit here so you can see a little bit better of what is going on here. Big square box, decent thickness there. You get the Academy Games, Apollo Games catalog. I guess Apollo Games is, I have several Academy Games, but I guess Apollo Games are their Sci-Fi games. I know that they've started getting into that over the last few years. So here's Conflict of Heroes, Colonial Trilogy. I have all of those. Vikings, which kind of plays off the same as the Colonial Trilogy. Mare Nostrum. I have the old Mare Nostrum. I have the original before Academy Games picked it up. Tudor, Freedom. I have that one. Excellent game. One Small Step. And is that Apollo Games or Academy Games? Anyway, and Agents Mayhem. Maybe this is when Apollo, I don't know. I don't know the connection with Apollo Games. I need to check that out. Reality Shift, which is what we're going to take a look at, and Stellaris, which is, I think, their big game that they're working on now. And they got some historical puzzles there. So there is the catalog. Here is the Reality Shift rulebook. I think you get two rule books. Yeah, you get the regular rule book, and then you get the deluxe edition rules, which is going to have some new tracks and some new layouts and the like. But here's the regular rule book, which is 7 pages, so not that complex of a game. And most of this is probably going to tell you, tell you how to play it, but again, it's not that complex. You're rolling a dice, you're playing cards. What cards you can play make a difference. The color of the card makes a difference with the cubes. I think the whites are wild, so you can manipulate them, I think, with any color. And you can use white cards, I think, to manipulate any tile, I believe. But don't trust me. Read the rules. So here's setup here. Here's winning the race. Here's a player's turn. Here's moving. Here's a 180-degree turn and checkpoints. There are checkpoints in here. When you go past a checkpoint, you grab a checkpoint card, and so then when you get crushed or knocked off the track or whatever, you can go back to a checkpoint. Otherwise, you got to go back to that green starting place. And then this explains some of the manipulation of the cubes, like slide cube, rotate cube, flip cube, and kind of explains what you do there, and then tilt cube. So those are the 4 different things that you can do with the cube. So that is the rules. And you get the deluxe edition here, which is 11 pages, but this is really just kind of expansions, right? Talking about the deluxe track cubes, power-up cubes, battle mode, power mode, grid board, and deluxe track. So this is really talking about expansions and different ways to play the game or augment the game. Plus you get a white racer. That's cool. So this is talking about the new cubes you have and how you work with them. Battle mode, power mode, grid board. This is that board I was telling you about. And this rule book, that board, and 3 of the cubes and the white racer only come with the deluxe edition. So these are some of the different layouts that you can do with the extra cubes. Then we have some, these look like maybe waypoints or something. We got some counters here. Really thick counters. Here's that board. Again, I think this only comes in the deluxe edition. So if you look here, this is just a nice way to hold the cubes in place so you know where they're at. Another feature of this might be, because you're playing on the side of these cubes for maybe part of the game or the entire game. So having this and then being able just to rotate this is a nice way to kind of look at the sides of the cubes. And then on the flip back, you actually have a racing grid on here. So like when you go off a cube, you go onto here and then pop back up. So that's kind of cool. I like that feature. I'll probably play with that most games. Here's all the cubes in a nice little centerpiece here. Let's see what else we got here. We have the racers here and a die. So let's see what we got here. And as you can see, there's the dice or die, and then as you can see here, these are magnetic. Oh, some of these got a little bit too much attraction there. So the yellow was coming out. Oh, got a couple of these coming out here. So I got to put the green in there. So as you can see here, these are magnetic. And so they can sit on the sides here. You have to kind of put them off on the side. There you go. And so that way they'll stay on the sides of the, man, they're really strong magnets, so they attach to each other just by putting them there. So your light bikes will stay on the side of the cubes or whatever angle you have them at. So then we have some cards here. These might be the deluxe cards. Let's see what these cards are. These are the regular cards here. And so you'll have a hand of these. I haven't read up on how you get these cards and how you refill your hand and all that stuff. So here's Reality Shift. This is just like a print marker there. Thank you for purchasing Reality Shift. Okay. Thank you, Academy Games. So these are those checkpoints. And so you take this and I think you keep this in your hand, and therefore you can start there now if you get knocked off. Here are some player aids, so for the different colors that go with the bikes. Tells you the 4 different ways to manipulate the cube, and then you also have the player turn. You roll a speed die, materialize if you are not on the track, so that means put you on this green starting point here, or on a way checkpoint, I guess. Take each action once in any order. Move the full number of path spaces shown on your speed die. Move the full number of path spaces shown on your played card, which is optional. The rolling on the dice is mandatory. So if you roll like a 5, you got to roll 5 spaces at some point during that turn. You may give your action cards movement to instead. Instead of using any of the movement, you can just say, no, I just want to turn 180 degrees. I want to go the different direction. This is a game where you move. You can't like go back and forth. You got to go whatever way you're facing unless you use up your movement points to turn around. You can shift reality by playing a card to flip a cube or manipulate a cube. So those are again, it's not that complicated of a game, and it plays really quick. So those are your light racers. You got 4, and then I think there's a white one that comes in this deck, I would imagine. Then these are all action cards, and so there's your movement, and then the color again depends. White I think is wild, and then the colors, like if you like blues can only affect blues, greens, and so on. Whites I think can affect anything, but any color can affect a white cube. I think that's how it works, but you'll correct me if I'm wrong. And then, or you can play it for the movement, or just sacrifice all the movement and turn 180 degrees, or you play what the cube does here, whether it's a shift, a flip, a tilt, or a rotate, or the different things that are on here. So that's the cards, okay, and a decent quality. They're thin, but they look fine there. Then we got, what else we got here? Let's see. Let's get into these cards here, and then you're going to want to see the cubes, I would imagine. So I really didn't know much about this. I saw this pop up out there. I really like Academy Games for the historical games and their war games, and really got into them for that. So I haven't really experienced any of their sci-fi games, and this one is even different than, this has really, I guess there's a little bit of combat or take that in it, but this really isn't. This is unlike anything else they produced. So that's why I really wasn't following this much, so I'm kind of glad that Gimpy had the contest. I'm kind of glad that they followed up with me so I could get it. Here's the white card for the white player, and then you got these new power-ups here. So this must be one of the expansion, these power-ups here, to do some even more stuff. Ooh, Reality Bomb. So these might be like, super cards to play during your turn. So this is in that Deluxe rule book, because this is one of the expansions that you can play with there. But you want to see, let's put the little print marker here, you want to see what these cubes look like. So let's pull some of these bad boys out. So these cubes have like ridges in here, so they stack relatively easy. You really don't need to have that board, and there's no grooves on the board to keep it in place. It's just a place to kind of hold it. It's like a placeholder, so you know what the grid looks like. But they stack pretty good there. As you can see there, there's some places where they grooves where they can kind of fit in. So they stack relatively well, or stay together relatively well. And of course you can put a bike on it, and it's going to stay, whenever you're flipping that bad boy around, it's going to stay pretty well. And heck, you might have a couple of racers on there. Let's get another one on there. So as long as they're not like friction or rubbing up or flipping on top of each other, those could stay in both of those locations. But if this flips on top, well, then this is crushed, and then you've got to go back to a start point. So, and you got some different tracks there, so you have to stay on the track, and so you have to roll the dice and use your movement. Here's one of those waypoints. So, and here's the end game. That's how you win the game. You got to get to there. So you got to get from here to here. And so there is some strategy in this of trying to manipulate the cubes to make a really short path between the start and the end. That's kind of the game. But there's a lot of chaos in this. So I imagine the more players you have, 2 players is probably a fair match and probably not a ton of manipulation. But if you play up to 5 players, there's a lot of flipping and shifting and moving cubes around, and maybe burying this cube so you can't get to the end point. So, that could be a relatively chaotic game. So if you're not into chaos, this might not be the game for you. But this must be one of those special cubes here. Let's get this one out. Look at that. That looks different. I imagine we can still put there. Let's put the white racer there. See, there you go. That's the cool part. And these are plastic and have a nice cover on it. That's the gimmick here. These are really cool. And that's the neat part of this game, is flipping those cubes. But again, be ready for some chaos. 2 players, maybe not as much, but the more players you add, I think the more chaos you're going to have. And you can make some really tall tracks. You can go crazy with some of the builds. And again, in that deluxe book, I think there was all kinds of different builds. Here's a start point. Maybe that's not a start point. Here's a start point right here. So this cube's going to have a start point, because you have to have someplace to start. So every side's going to have a green, so you have a start point. So there's that. As you can see, these things stack relatively easy. Whoa, there we go. Playing like a Jenga tower here. So you can see there's they fit together relatively nice. So and here's I think that's the, is that the end? Or was it another one? Maybe I missed it. I think that's something else. There is some symbology and some things you have to, like the waypoints and some of these other ones, these might be part of the expansion that add some different factors or different abilities to it all. Looks like there's a nice base in there. It's just a printed area. So there you go. These are the cubes. They're pretty cool. They're hollow, not super heavy, but cool. So there you have it. This is a Reality Shift Deluxe Edition, which is, plays this pretty much the same way as the regular edition, other than you get some additional cubes that have some special abilities, and you have different layouts of tracks, and so it does add a little bit more gameplay to everything. So and I do like that board. If it was me, I'd probably go for the Deluxe Edition if you're really interested in this, just because of the extra content. But you get that you get those base boards, and you get some different cubes to spice up your games with these with some power-ups and some extra cubes that have some special abilities. But I really do like this board here too. So there you have it. That is Reality Shift from Apollo Games and Academy Games. I need to read up on what is the connection there. Maybe Apollo Games is really the kind of the sponsor of this one, but Academy Games is producing it. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Again, I want to thank everybody who was involved in getting this to me. I want to thank the Academy. And if you are interested in this game, or if you played this game, feel free to put some comments down below. Let me know what you think. Always willing to hear and eager to hear any comments you have on anything I cover. That's what I have for you today on this Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Take care, all. Thanks for watching.